Welcome to Career Practitioner Conversations. This podcast is presented by the National Career Development Association. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Melissa Venable, NCDA Director of Professional Development, and I'm here with Erica Mattison and Mike Wysocki. Erica is an executive coach, speaker, and author, and her approach integrates narrative assessment, strengths-based coaching, and she's a certified career coach. Erica also has her own podcast, Conversations with Erica, so check that out when the links will all be in our show notes here. Mike is a speaker and author of Careers by the People. He's currently working on his second book on career readiness from the view of college students and how they're preparing for the workforce. Erica is a CCSP credential holder and an active member of NCDA. And Mike, you've been an exhibitor at several of our annual NCDA conferences. So I just want to thank both of you for your connection with the association and for being here today. So Erica, I will turn it over to you to kick things off.
Thank you so much, Melissa. It's great to be here. And I always welcome the chance to have a conversation with Mike to get to know each other better and to talk about our work in the career space.
Yeah, it's always a joy, Erica. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And being, obviously a pillar of the career readiness and career space out there, it's always great to talk to my favorite career coach in the New England, Boston area, Erica Mattison.
Thank you, Mike. So let's dig in. I'd love to hear a little bit about what you've been up to lately, what you're working on right now. Then we'll go back in time, and then we'll go forward in time. So let's start with the present moment.
Yeah. So actually, Erica, the timing is amazing because this was a great week for my next book. Because the fact is, I sent over all the rough material, rough drafts, intro, conclusion, all the careers to the publisher so they can edit them up, clean them up, and get them ready for my second book, Careers by the People, Getting Career Advice from 102 professionals, experienced professionals. So that's the next book.
Excellent. Well, congrats on the progress with the book. I have self-published, and so I have a glimpse into what is involved in putting together a book, and it is a lot of work. So congratulations.
Yeah, that's true. And congratulations to you and your book. The fact is, as we know, people aren't preparing for the workforce. And if we can dig into that and find the weaknesses out and find different angles and activities and thought processes of how they can be more prepared for the real world, then that's dynamite. So that's pretty much the angle of everything that I do.
Absolutely. So when it comes to career readiness, what are a couple of the top areas that you see the most opportunities in?
Well, the thing about it is I don't really focus on industry. I just focus on, the students and preparing them to understand the transition from college to career, high school to career, military to career, and how they have to prepare. All of them understand the hard skills, AKA get an electrical engineering degree, learn Python, but when it comes to the professionals and soft skills, they are weak on that because it's not pushed as much in school as it either was prior or just in general. Schools expect people to, quote, learn that out in industry. Some people in the what you call it, the foundations or like that say the same thing. They say, oh, it's best they learn that over in industry. Well, I don't understand why the schooling doesn't get involved with that. And as we all know, the professional skills just off the top, public speaking, boom, learn that. And your net worth is going to change dramatically, plus your confidence. And I always bring it back to John Bow's book that he speaks about that. I have something to say. And he's clearly writes of the confidence of his uncle prior, going to Toastmasters and learning how to publicly speak. But that's only one. There's so many different aspects that I go into proper writing. They have to understand that, and they have to work in teams. And so a lot of people don't understand. And I've explained to students, I go, it's not teams, your best buddies that you hang out with. No, it's the polar opposite. You come from a big city, they're from rural. You're from the Midwest, they're from the Northeast, or they're from England or Europe or Asia. And it's like, why are you guys all together on this team? So I try to bring up as much issues and problems as things that I learned in 30 years in the workforce.
So people skills, competencies in areas like communication, teamwork, leadership, maybe critical thinking. So you're raising awareness about these needs. what kind of an impact are you hoping that this next book will have?
Well, the first book was my thoughts and what I should have done to prepare for the real world. The second one, though, so what I did, I went directly to the source. I went to students in college and asked them how they're preparing for the real world with over 30 questions about what they're doing to prepare for the workforce. And the amount of responses were great, but also the amount of data that I received is intense, because a lot of the data, I tried to compare it to what the national data trends and foundations, organizations, the people that study this. And half of that information that I found isn't available out there. So, example, shadowing. What's the percentage of students that are shadowing into careers they're planning on getting into? There's no data. So, Parsons, I mean, he was doing this stuff in 1908, and it's 120 plus years later, 115 years later, and nobody's asked that question. Really?
So, Mike, let me ask you. So, you've identified these needs from this data that you've collected. How did you decide who to request to participate in this? And then once you got the responses, how did you decide which ones to include in the book?
Well, basically, what happened was I wanted to go to all sections of the country. So during the time when I was speaking out there at the schools, I spoke to a lot of students. I said, hey, when I'm prepping for book 2, I'd like to talk to you, or if you're interested in being included in the next book, because I'd like to ask you how you're preparing. And of course, a lot of students like, yeah, sure. But when it comes down to the questions and response, some didn't do it. So I reached out through connections and networking, LinkedIn or whatever. I found these students throughout the United States. So when I spoke at UMass, I got a few students from speaking there. When I spoke at the University of New Hampshire, I got some students from there as well. And I connected with students and said, hey, would you be interested? And luckily, I got 3 schools down south to respond. In the Midwest, the connections were somebody who I met through the NCDA or one of the events that I attended. He's from Ferris State up there in Michigan. And then oddly enough, one of the guys I grew up with in Weymouth, he is teaching now in Indiana. And so I connect up with him. He goes, I'll get some of my students to fill it out. Every time people do these books, they always go after the elites, the top 50 schools. Oh, here's all the Ivies or some of the best schools in the Midwest and the West. Whereas my schools are very good schools, but I don't have anybody from the Ivies. I wanted to speak to students, especially students that are going to the top state schools or some of the top schools out there that are not the stereotypical top 10 that we always see. So.
Okay, so a mix of schools, I'm guessing big, small, public, private, liberal arts, technical. I don't know if you have any community colleges in there.
No.
Okay.
This one, I was going after everybody, but it's the response rate, So if any community college is listening, please reach out. It would be a feather in the cap, and I'd love to help out the community colleges. Thank you, Erica. Favorite question of the day. You can't beat that one. So you already hit a home run today. So.
All right. So we'll keep going. So yes, I was previously a career counselor at Boston University in the business school. And so, have worked with folks getting their MBAs from all over the world who are trying to figure out what's next and what to focus on and how to use their time in school and what kinds of internships to go for and all of that. So take us back a little bit, Mike, to earlier in your career. Share with us a little bit about why you got into this in the first place.
Yeah, it's an awesome question, and it's a deep thought question, because here's what happened basically was I was in industry, and I was in one of those best jobs by the people that write those articles. I was in one of those best jobs because it paid well, and I was in technology sales. And I have no interest in technology. I mean, it's great that, people like Zoomer invented it. We could talk remotely from, you're back in, Northeast and I'm here, which is amazing stuff. But it never really interested me. But on the flip side, though, money always did. So I'm like, okay, how do I get out of the lower income areas? And so that was me. And so I went into tech sales, and it was not a joy, but they did pay you very well. And you get to travel. And so during that time, though, I thought, is everybody as miserable or unhappy in their occupation as I am? And so I'm like, you know what? Let me figure this out. And so I reached out to web designers and said, hey, I'm going to ask a bunch of questions to people in the industry to find out what their thoughts are on how their career is. And I told the people, I go, I'll use your last initial of your last name, so there's no blowback. And I don't, I try to pull up companies' names and all like that, unless it's like IBM or something. They can give clear and concise information. And so when I started getting these responses, and a lot of them were through connections I knew and people I networked with, and they were amazing. And so then from there, I'm like, I got something really powerful here. And then, so I got all that information, put it into book one, and intro and the conclusion. I talk about how I should have prepared for the real world. So it's pretty intense. But yeah, so to answer that question, that's basically about it. As I want to see what everybody else's thought process was about what their work entails, because there's not many books like that.
So it started because you were curious if other people were having experiences in their careers that were similar to your experience.
Yeah, in a sense, I just wanted to find out, if some people receive joy from their labor, or were they miserable? I tell the students, I go, if you prepare, you have a better chance of enjoying what you're doing versus, and the worst of the worst is, I fell into it. When I hear that, it's just like my head explodes sideways. I want to say, I prepped, I did this, and this, and this is why I'm in a career that I enjoy. So in my head, that's what my mission goal is, to do that.
Absolutely. Yes. I hear people say a lot of the time in my work as a career professional that they fell into their career. And in many cases, somebody has been at the same organization for years, even decades, feels stuck, feels unfulfilled, feels like they are not in a role that's a good match for them, feels like they're underutilized. The culture isn't a good match. I could go on and on and on. And this is extremely common. I hear it from people all the time. So I get what you're saying. I'm curious, when you set out to learn about this, were you planning on putting it into a book, or did that idea come later?
Yes and no. So first, I was just ready to knock it off and put a handful in a book. And then as it moved forward, I started talking, because I'll talk to people about, any angles. And one lady goes, "Oh, you should build it into a big website." And so I tried that, but it was a disaster, and it totally failed. And then when I moved out here from Los Angeles, I was like, you know what? I have some free time on my hands. Boom, this would be awesome. So I had some downtime. And so I'm like, you know what? I focused into this book, and I did. And then after that, I got some old notes that I was reading and writing and all like that, and tried to combine it. And luckily, I have a friend over here that was a professor at Stanford. He helped me with like the design work and the mentality of what's needed and all like that. And so then after combining it all together, then I reached out to, get the endorsements, and as well as endorsements from everybody I could figure out there. And it's cool because I was a new kid on the block. And so somebody throwing an endorsement to this, and I really thank people like yourself who helped me with book one, because it was a chance.
So as you think about what's next, as you think about what's coming up for you,
Yeah.
what you're about to put into the world, the kinds of interactions and conversations that you might be having with people, the kind of impact that you might be having, paint a picture for us.
Well, the next step is between now and when the book comes out, I'm going to be focusing on going out to see if I can, speak at different schools, organizations. So that's the next goal. And then when the book comes out, obviously, I'm going to just get the word out and keep pushing it. I will be focusing on that. So the process is going to keep moving forward. So, but you know what I mean? It's just like, the thing about writing is, as you know, it's kind of a good process, and it's a fun one, and it keeps the mind going. So keep the mind moving and the body moving, and you should be doing okay.
As you think about the kinds of conversations that you've had, Mike, with career professionals, whether they are in higher education or they're working in private practice with people who are well established in their careers, what kinds of observations do you hear them share with you regularly?
Well, it's funny. With the career professionals, they're always more or less like, we really appreciate what you're doing, keep going at it. But the other thing too is especially when I see in the career centers, I mean, oh, this drives me crazy. It's not the people that are working in there, it's the amount the school ignores it. And so the amount of time and money and focus. I'll give you an example. Do you want to go to X college? Sure. How about X college that's career ready? Oh, yeah, awesome. How about X college with a great football team? Well, that's cool too, but I got to get a job. And so I'm trying to really focus a lot really on the whole career readiness mentality of what are these schools churning out when you're there? What are you learning from it? But my other angle of the course is if the student is focused on trying to go to a college, XYZ school, school's awesome, great education, but the career center or the career readiness program is horrible. I always say, I go get involved, go hire a career coach. You know what I mean? So it's the way they have to do. It's a 40-year process, 22 to 62. You figure you do the math. They're going to be working that whole time, unless they hit it big. But the point is they have to prepare for the workforce. And how are they going to do it? And so the people that are in the career organizations, they love it. They're like, just keep at it and keep working on it because they know that I can help the students out because their funds are so limited. And even the ones I see them on LinkedIn, I reach out sometimes, they're like, wow, they go, we get no to little budget.
I am seeing an encouraging trend, though, that is starting, which I'd love to hear your take on, and that is university administrators, I believe, have an increased awareness today compared to 5 or 10 plus years ago that we need to do a better job to prepare learners to go out into the workforce to meet the needs and fill those roles and maybe start their own businesses sometimes as well. And so there are these competencies that they need to develop that organizations like NACE, National Association of Colleges and Employers, it has done a lot of work around. So technology, critical thinking, teamwork, and so forth are these competencies. And I've been hearing more and more from university administrators specifically calling out the need for these institutions of learning to support their students to develop these competencies. I was at a commencement event in the spring where a university president was on the stage and specifically was talking about career readiness in front of a ballroom of donors. And I was very pleasantly surprised. I will be teaching a course on learning through career exploration at our alma mater, UMass
I
Amherst.
know, I saw that. Congratulations.
Brand new program. It's a brand new program. It's a career launch program that approximately 50 first years will be participating in, that they chose that they wanted to be part of this. And what's really incredible about it is not only are they going to have a career class in their first semester of their first year of college, but they are also going to be in other classes that are going to integrate career readiness using the NACE competencies as the building blocks. And so they're going to have this integrated academic experience that really centers career readiness. And so when I say that I'm seeing this trend, those are a couple of examples. So do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, actually, I have a lot. But the fact about it is, I want to first go into that because that's my head's spinning, which is great. In the next book that's going to come out, one of the students did mention that they had problems getting into career exploration courses. And I couldn't have picked anybody better in the state of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to do this and spearhead this other than you. So I was ecstatic when I saw that. And the other thing too is because you bleed UMass. I mean, that's just the way it is. Both of us do. But the idea of saving and helping and your knowledge on career and all your education, put it all together, throw in NACE without question, you're going to make it an amazing thing. And I hope they expanded more than 50.
There is interest in growing this program. And I also hope to see many other colleges and universities that do not yet have a program like this start to create them because there is so much need and so much possibility.
Yeah, I'll give you an example of some. I mean, I don't want to do any negative schools here, but positive. I think it's Middlesex Community College up there on the North Shore. But they have the amount of career exploration classes for a community college is amazing. But then there's other ones, and I don't want to bring them up, and they're doing absolutely nothing. So yeah. So Eric, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. You get the 4 universities. Then you have all, I think, the 9 state schools, and I don't know how many community colleges are over. They probably like 13 or something like that. So yeah, you got a lot of work.
From what I'm hearing from what you're saying, Mike, there's a big range in terms of the level of focus that university administrators are putting into this. And so that is, of course, shaping the curriculum. There are some bright spots where universities and colleges are starting to create or grow existing programs so that students do have more options to start exploring career opportunities sooner rather than later.
Here's the other thing too, and I read about this in the next book, is I do find out there was a top 10 list of the best career readiness schools. And so my correlation was instead of going to the school that has the greatest football team and the best mascot, I go to a more career readiness school, and here are a bunch of them. And by the way, are they any good at sports? And I notify them all the sports they won and all like that. And so it's really interesting. But the fact is, it's amazing what's out there. But you're right. Career readiness is being exposed or brought up because of people like you and me, and as well as there's a variety of other people out there. We got the design guys from Stanford. I mean, you can go to Dickie Bowles back with the parachute in like 1970, but people are starting to bring it up. I mean, Scott Carlson's Hacking College was good. And then there's College to Career. I think it's Pollock's book, but there's a lot of stuff out there. And a lot of them are really cool people because we always connect with each other and get good words, and finding out Gorick Nang with his amazing book, The Unspoken Rules. So there's a lot of good information out there. And I'd say with the schools that need career readiness help, find the Erica of your state and just have them run the program and get involved because you're bringing a speaker that would be different than what's out there. So I mean, some people like let's get all people like education. I'm like, no, get them from the workforce. And one of the schools that I mentioned, they go, yeah, we always talk to retired people because they give unbiased views of what they did in their industry. So yeah, career readiness, the time right now is hot. And so
Mike, in closing, what did I not ask you that I ought to ask you?
No, I mean, you're on top of it left and right. There's not even a question mark. Some things I like to tell people about is hopefully the new book comes out either in the winter of next year or the spring. But the other thing too is, remember, I go through 102 careers. It's going to be broken down to ACT on the CTE side, career and technical education. Because the thing about it is when I spoke at different conferences, career and technical education was one that clicked the most with me. And they are really trying to help out because a lot of students aren't going to college and they're going right into the workforce. So they try to train them up from there. And so I spin them both together and put them together. Also, it's great to get a chance to network and work with people like yourself because you understand the field. So I think both of us are in an explosion career industry, which is great, but there's a lot of people out there that need help. And every time I talk to a student that is just like, thank God you're here. Why didn't I learn that? And one example I use, and I'll finish it up on this one, is when I spoke to one of the better schools in New England that you're well aware of, that I won't use their name, it was a joy. And I was talking to the students, and in a business class too, they go, hey, Wysocki, they, educators, tell us to network. What does that mean? And these are juniors and seniors in a solid college. And I'm like, whoa. So that helped out. And every time after I speak, when the students come up and do one-on-ones, just talk to me about things, as you know, happens. The amount of information they give me is so intense because they don't want to bring it up in the class. But what they tell me, I mean, we're struggling. I mean, America is struggling with career readiness, and it's good that Massachusetts has picked you up to do that, which is awesome. But there's 49 other states. Come on. People go out there and find your Ericas and expand. Just go out there and get career readiness because the country's expanding and growing. And so you got to be prepared. And if you're not, you're going to suffer. So
Thank you so much for your time, Mike. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. I want to thank NCDA for the opportunity to have this conversation and share it with friends and colleagues all over. And I wish you the best with all of your books and your speaking engagements. I know you'll be working hard to get these out to more people who can use them. And have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you, Erica. Much aloha. NCDA.